Hey, I'm your girl Nail, and welcome to another episode of Simply Nail's Tiny Studio. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, ding, 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 so that you will be notified every time I pop into the Tiny Studio to talk about what? This is a dreadlock love video, baby. You know what time it is. It's that time we talk about everything dreadlock love, everything that goes along with wearing dreads, care, maintenance, all the things, child, all the things. So today we are talking about my LOC-VERSARY. I started my LOC journey this month of September 2020 2002. I'm thinking 2002, 2001. I think it was 2001. No, it was 2002. Because I was just thinking about some things. I graduated from undergrad in 2001. And the next year, 2002, I locked my hair. So anyhow, this month will be my LOC-VERSARY, and I have been locked for 23 years. 23 years. And I wanted to share some things that I have learned on my LOC journey, even being locked for 23 years. And I'm thinking my daughter was born in 2004. She's 21. So that is true. Yes, I was locked for about 2 years when I gave birth to her. So here's the thing. What have I learned? I have learned a lot on this journey. I have learned a tremendous, so much on this LOC journey. One of the things I have learned is to have confidence in myself. I have. Wearing locks, or choosing or deciding to wear locks back in 2002, it took a lot of courage to do so because I was in a religious community. I was an active Jehovah's Witness, and wearing locks, I had never seen a Jehovah's Witness wear locks. I didn't know any Jehovah's Witnesses who wore locks, but the people that I loved and admired wore locks. So I had a choice to make, and I just decided I was going to go for it. It was something that I always wanted to do, all right? And it was something that I just needed to do. When I dreamed of myself with locks. When I dreamed the person that's sitting before you right now, her, that's who I dreamed of. Nose piercing included. I saw myself as that person. And because of religiosity and because of me being a active Jehovah's Witness, I didn't see a lot of people like that. And I was afraid of what the reception would be in my religious community if I came to the Kingdom Hall with locks. But the overwhelming power that I had within me told me that I had to take that chance. I had to do this, and I had to enact or let the person that I saw come out. And that's exactly what I did. Now, did I receive a warm reception from wearing locks, from starting locks? No. No, I did not. No, there were a lot of people in my congregation, in my circuit, in my district, that looked at me like I had grown horns of the devil all over my head, but I had to grow or become confident in myself to do this. Now, when you think about 2002 in the city of Detroit, there were not a lot of people wearing locks. Now, there were people inside of different cultural communities who were more Afrocentric who were wearing locks. And I was beginning to reach out to those type of communities during the African World Festival that is held every year in downtown Detroit. I don't know if it's held in downtown Detroit anymore. I know that sometimes they were being held at the African American Museum in Detroit. But, you know, when I first started wearing locks, whenever the African World Festival would take place, I would see a lot of the Afrocentric community in Detroit. I would see a lot of people wearing locks, men and women. And that gave me the courage to do so because I knew that I wasn't alone, that there were people who had decided to join or to wear locks as part of their cultural walk and their spiritual walk. So I knew that this was something that I wanted to do and that I had to do and that I was moved to do. And I had to have confidence to do so because there were people in my immediate circle that were not wearing locks. In fact, I found myself at times, the stares from other people. I felt that. There were the stares from my own family members who were not supportive, by the way, who thought, hey, why don't you comb your hair? Why don't you, what is wrong with you? I felt that and I had that from my own family. And, it didn't break me down. It just made me feel sad for them that, they could say some things like that to me. As my hair became longer, I've had people come up to me, even in my own family and ask me, what type of weave is that? What type of hair did you use for your locks? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is my hair, And so I had to really develop confidence in myself. What I've also learned wearing locks is that I had to trust the process. So important. When my locks first started out and I was doing, all kinds of, not cool things to my locks, like I started my locks with wax. I was washing my hair all the time. One of the things I learned, and I say this a lot in my lock videos, dreadlock love videos, I had to get over the fact that my locks were supposed to look like somebody else's locks. Lock envy. I had to trust the process. I had to get over that. I had to realize and come to the conclusion that my hair is my hair. My hair is not going to look like Lenny Kravitz's hair. By the way, did you guys see Lenny Kravitz on the MTV Video Awards? Didn't he look fantastical? Oh my God. And his locks were absolutely gorgeous. But I knew that my locks, I had to learn that my locks was not going to look like Lenny Kravitz's. It was not going to look like Lisa Bonet's locks. It was not going to look like Cree Summers' locks when she had them. It was not going to look like my best friend Nicole's late aunt's locks. It was not going to look like Mama Jendaye's locks. They were just not going to look like that because our hair types were different. Okay, our hair types were different. My locks was not going to look like Rita Marley's locks. My locks were not going to look like Bob Marley's locks. My locks are going to look like Nail's locks because my hair is made up of my own DNA. All right. So I had to get over that. I had to trust the process. I had to understand that my hair was going to grow the way it was going to grow. I had to understand that at certain points in my lock journey, my hair was just going to do whatever it wanted to do. I had to trust the process. I did. There were moments in my lock journey where I felt at the beginning that my locks were not growing the way I thought they should grow. I had an expectation and my locks did exactly what it wanted to do. So I had to trust the process. And that really brings in the point of patience. I had to be patient. I had to get rid of lock envy. I had to look at people and say who had locks. I had to say, your locks are beautiful. I I honor you. I honor them. And I cannot wait until my locks become or get to the point where I am feeling comfortable and I am able to honor them. And I will say that. And I meant it because I was in the process of what? Trusting the process. Trusting the process, understanding that my hair is going to be different, inherently different, because I am a unique creature. I'm a unique human being. So my hair is not going to look like somebody else's hair. And then, hey, my daughter's locks did not look like my locks because she is a totally, even though she came from me, she's a totally different person. She has her own DNA, genetic makeup. So her locks look totally different than mine. And I loved her locks. Her locks were beautiful. Sometimes I had a lock crush on my daughter's locks. Okay. So the thing is, trust the process. Things are not going to always go as you expect them to. Things are not going to always look the way you expect them to look. Your locks are not going to look the way you thought that they were going to look. You have to trust the process. That's something that I learned, along with patience. For the longest time, I felt as if my locks were short. I used to call them baby shrimps. And it felt like my locks stayed shrimp-like for a very long time. And the reason why they did was because I was putting so much gunk on top of them that they were suffocating. They were suffocating. I was doing so many terrible, terrible things to my locks that it's a wonder that I am locked today. But that's called growth and maturity, and experience and learning, right? But I had to understand that, yes, it seemed as if it was taking a long time for my locks to grow, but that is just the part of learning my hair texture, learning how it grows, learning the different things that would help it to grow, because I was putting so much stuff on top of it. It was kind of, I was supposed to be a natural diva, natural lock diva, Loch-Nessa queen. However, it wasn't working out that way because I was putting all type of chemicals on top of my head. So I had to learn that, patience is important. And not only that, time is important. Patience, time, trusting the process, all of those things go into being a beautiful locked queen or locked king. You have to give it time. You have to be patient. Another important thing that I learned about being a Loch-Nessa queen for 23 years, I learned that adding so much stuff to your hair is non-productive. What am I saying? Well, when I started my locks with wax and I use a lot of gels, okay? And I use shampoos and conditioners. So I felt that, every 2 weeks after I washed my hair, that I was constantly retwisting my hair, and I was constantly going to the beauty supply to buy that gel, that lock gel in the white container with the purple top. Okay, I was always at the beauty supply place trying to buy up some dang old gel. And so I eventually learned that all of the stuff that I was putting in my hair was counterproductive to what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a locked Nisa queen. I wanted to be a locked diva. I wanted to be completely chemical free. And here I was adding more chemicals on top of my head. Here I was shampooing with Pantene and some what was that conditioner? You know what? What was that perm relaxer called? It's called Ultimum or whatever. Ultimum had a really good conditioner. And I kept using it on top of my locks. Ah, I continued to use it on my locks like a big dodo head. But I thought I was doing something good. And then I kept, wondering why my hair stank. Why was all this grit and grime always in my hair, my locks? Why was it always so heavy? You see how weightless my hair is? You see how weightless that is? Let me tell you, when I started out, my hair was not weightless. It was heavy. Heavy, greasy, full of gunk. And I disliked it. My husband didn't like putting his hands in my locks because it was hard. It was every time he would pull his hands out of my locks, it was always filled with stuff. You see how I just put my hands in my locks right now? You see that? Nothing is on my locks. Maybe just a little hint of oil, just a little tiny hint of oil, just a little tiny hint, just a tiny hint. It's weightless. Even though it's thick, but it's weightless. But back in the day, no, my hair was not like that. And so I had to learn to eliminate certain things from my locks. Now, I already, washed my body with natural soaps. I already was washing with Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap. So one day, I just happened to really read the bottle of the peppermint soap oil soap that I was using. And then I had noticed that, hey, I can wash my hair with this. If I'm washing my body, why can't I wash my hair? And so that's when I was like, well, let me try it out. And so I started washing my locks with Dr. Bronner's peppermint oil soap. And what a revelation. When I saw all of the gunk that was coming out of my hair, it was amazing. And I was also disgusted. I believe that I probably washed my hair 3 different times that particular day. And all of the junk that came out of my head, out of my locks, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And it was at that point in time that I stopped using conditioners and shampoos on my locks. Just stopped completely. And when I did, I noticed a change in my locks. Then I stopped using gels because at first I thought I had to use gels all the time because I had to keep my hair looking a certain way. Then I realized, no, I don't. I don't want my hair to look, super neat all the time because all it's doing is pulling out my edges. I'm going to tell you, it was a point where, right now you can't really tell, but it was a point when I did not have it. See, right now I have all these beautiful baby hairs. That's my natural hair. It was a time period where I didn't have any edges because I was continuously twisting my hair, constantly twisting my hair, and I would have patches of hair gone. All of my edges would just be gone. It got to a point where my hairline was back here. My hairline was way back here. I already have a big forehead, but my hairline was way back here because I was twisting my hair all the time and, with gels, and it was pulling my locks out. Literally, my locks was coming out. I'm trying to tell you, my locks was coming out, and I had to restart locks on this side of my head. Truly. And so that's why I learned that using gels and waxes and conditioners and shampoos is a no-go on your natural hair. If you want to be natural, use the things that nature provide to keep your hair natural. I learned that lesson. Then, as I really began to gray and go white, I learned another valuable lesson. Stay away from the bleaches and the dyes. Yes, stay away from those things, because what those things do is they're chemicals that are not good for natural hair. What happens is that your hair turns to straw. Hey, honey, your hair turns to straw and begins to feel like straw, and it gets heavy. So I learned that lesson. Stay away from the dyes and stay away from the bleaches, and just accept yourself for who you are. Yes, you're getting older now. Yes, your hair is turning white. And if you've been following the channel for these past 3 years, it'll be 3 years, it'll be soon be 4 next year. But if you've been following the channel, you've been watching me slowly or watching my locks slowly turn white. And it's okay. For a very long time, I refused to accept it. But now I accept it, and I have to accept it, because using bleaches on my hair and dyeing my hair blonde really took my hair out. It really took my hair out. And for those of you who say, well, I bleached my hair blonde and my hair is fine. No, it's not. You can't tell me that. Your hair is not fine, okay? I bet you and I guarantee you that your hair feels hard. It feels like straw. I can guarantee you that. It's thinning. Don't play with me. Don't play, because I already know. So eventually you get to the point where you realize that I want to be true to this journey, and I love my locks. And I'm okay with me aging. I'm okay with me becoming, well, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm okay with me aging. I'm okay with me being the age that I am. And I'm okay with being an old crone and looking like one. Okay? I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. And so when you become confident in yourself and you realize those things, you stop doing things that become detrimental to you. And as we have found out, that all of these dyes and bleaches and stuff is really not healthy for us anyway, right? They are cancer-causing agents. And so if we as women would just use natural things that's in nature that are good and healthy for us to dye our hair, if we would just use those, if we feel the need to, we will be so much better off. And listen, I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've been thinking about using maybe some henna or some temporary henna or something like that to color my hair, to give myself some poof or something. So, add a little magic to myself. But that's something that I'm going to have to research. I'm going to research it, and I'll get back to you. So these are the things that I've learned on my 23-year LOC-VERSARY, this beautiful lock journey of mine. And I'm so happy that I went ahead and I jumped into the pool, and I did it despite what other people said, despite what my religious community said, despite what my family said. I'm just glad that I went ahead and did it anyway, because I feel happier. I feel free from a lot of things that I was chained to, like going to the salon and sitting there all day long, spending oogles of money on styles that only last for so long. I'm just so happy that I got rid of those things and that I am just my natural self now. And this is the purest representation of who I am, what you see today. This is the woman that I saw in my dreams. This is the woman that as a kid I admired. And I am just so happy that I did this. And I did it for what? I did it for me. And that's the biggest lesson of all. Be yourself. If you, in your dreams, you see yourself as a lock diva or a lock king, go ahead and do it. Don't be afraid. Just go ahead and do it. Be who you are. Be your authentic self. Don't let anyone deter you from what it is that you want to do. If being a lock king or lock diva is what you see yourself as, go ahead and do it. Join the journey. That's the biggest lesson that I learned, that it's okay to be nailed. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned these 23 years, that it's okay to be me. So listen, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell so you'll be notified when I pop into the tiny studio. And this has been a Dreadlock Love video, baby. You always know what time it is when we talking about dreads, because I love my dreads. Yes, I do. So I will see you guys next week. If you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section and we'll talk about it soon, okay? Love you. Bye-bye.